Yeah, she's performing later tomorrow.
Hello. Okay, everyone, why don't you find a seat? We're going to start right now. Okay, sorry it's a bit late this morning because people are trying to find the locations. But anyway, welcome to the 3rd International Digital Dance Concert. And my name is Yihao. And first, I want to thank you to my collaborators, Liana, Melissa, if you put your hands up, Shannon. We work together to get this whole process going. It is a peer-reviewed process. If you think of a journal article publication, we go through the same process. We have the criteria and rubrics we go through, and eventually we selected the films that you are up to see today. It was hard on the first year because we have less than 5 submissions, but this year the number grew to 17. And then we select some of them. It was really quite astonishing. And we are entering the digital age. It's a very different world that we're facing now. We're actually teaching dance students. In the dance studio, they cannot attach their cell phones or use their cell phones. But in the theory class, many students just dive into their little own world. So we are, as a part of the WDAA organization, we're trying to reach to the unreached where not many people touch area. It's the digital area to reach that crowd. Hopefully we can find some channels or path to explore our territories to get those audience back because we are losing some people to the digital world. So we just want to I want to talk briefly what's going on today. Today we're going to see the film, and then we're going to invite the film creators. Some of them actually are present sitting in the audience. We're going to invite them to sit in the front, and we're going to answer some questions by them. The whole process, there are a couple films we're going to show. It's about 40 minutes. But in between, we have a couple seconds you can relax a bit. Okay, let's get going. Have you seen it? That woman likes to walk. Have you seen it? Had to look have you seen it? Walking down that road. I don't believe it. She's looking for ways to teach you, and all needing my deep down. She's a souvenir of your stay.
Don't be afraid to say no. Just looking for ways to teach you. And don't be leading my dreams down to the soul. Your soul. And I don't care to leave to keep my own dreams alive. I think BJ and Vincent met all you people first. You're getting me in trouble. I don't know what to say. It's not even before yet. I think you're very friendly. He's a good man. Not that I didn't in the beginning, but I didn't know you were because I'm shocked. So I can't blame that on anyone. He's a big man. So I really can't say when I thought of people because, you know, don't talk to me. Now I think you want his friends to be cold or something. Even in the car, sometimes I don't think I have it. She's busy. You know what I'm saying? What is talking about? Like you think she's going to smile, very friendly. Pascal, she was a little more reserved, but she's coming out of her shell. I don't think there's very good. I can remember she's very outgoing. I don't think there's a nervous phone in her whole body. There's no shot. Because I'm sharp. I wish I could be more like her. She's beautiful. Because she doesn't seem to have any headaches. Then you know what I'm saying? Like it's talking about. Like he thinks it's going to snow. You can't drink people. Yeah, Vincent was, which makes a hat. I think Vincent was cold. He didn't show his feelings. He kept everything to himself. And your family doesn't seem to be like me. Even the extended family. Like he thinks it's going to snow. My husband, can you meet him? Vincent's my husband. Vincent, been more affectionate with each other. Vincent, we can show his feelings. Vincent's my husband. I think it's a shame for all these years for wasting. Even though you know what you like people to show once in a while. He never showed any affection. Vincent, I mean, you were supposed to know. Yeah, but sometimes, even though you know what you like people to show once in a while, Vincent's my husband. Now that he's gone, I think it's a shame for all these years for wasting. When we could have been more affectionate with each other. But as ladies, we can't change people. Well, that may have been part of the problem, because he was so quiet by the time that I know that he was so I guess over the years, I kind of got used to being alone. Now, back in the old days, my mom broke. I would not have gone to the family place, but now I feel comfortable doing that. It's a small thing that makes a big difference. I think youth become more friendly. They're shy, they don't know what to say, they don't want to say the wrong thing. So they don't say anything, they go off by themselves. Before you were quiet, you say more to yourself. And I think somebody being shy can recognize that easier. And like my father used to say that my mother and I went down the street without knowing something here. And it wasn't the case, we were both shy, so we didn't want to talk to maybe, what were we going to say? It's such a long time ago. Like 100 years. And that's it in a nutshell. You've come out of your shell. It's a small thing. It makes a big difference.
The woman I've known most of my life, since I was 7 years old, Veronica. And Veronica was married to a man named Vincent. And Veronica's she's probably in her 70s, very reserved. And I got the courage last year to interview her. You know, her husband had died a few years ago, and I could see how Veronica became less supportive, a real sadness around her. And I wanted to maybe not just document that, I wanted to understand that marriage. You know, her and Vincent were married for a very long time. And Veronica and Vincent, to me, it's a love story.
His face is brown and round and smiling. First, they were called barbarians, then mountain people, and now Yuanzuming, original inhabitants. My mind clouds. Which name corresponds to which regime? Was it the Japanese that called Aborigines savages? I can't remember. This is how colonization works, through forgetting. The Ba Museum, black and white photos with Chinese labels that I cannot read. A cigarette seller, maybe. White terror, the decimation of intellectuals, political dissidents, Aborigines. This is how we were trained to be silent. We are island people who cannot swim. They confiscate half-inflated basketballs, wooden bed planks, afraid we will swim back to China. But what of the other passages across the black water 400 years ago? What blood runs in my veins, a wooden prow cutting through salt water. I'm in Penghu. Young men with supple spines dive like fish off fishing boats, skin tanned lit red from within. This is what my people look like without parasols, deep reddish brown, equally at home, amphibian on sea and land. There's a Chinese father, no Chinese mother. My father laughs at her. Your family is all Chinese. She shrinks as he tells me everyone pre-1949 has Aboriginal blood, except the families of government officials, like your mother's. Only men crossed over from the mainland, so they had kids with Aboriginal women. My mother always had whiter skin than the rest of us. I was darker because I was American, unafraid of the sun. Or so I thought. I get off the plane. At the end of the jetway is a cardboard cartoon of an Aborigine. She could have been created by Sanrio. Naruan, she says, welcoming us to Taiwan. I imagine my father on vacation on another island. After I tan a little, I can fake Hawaiian. Suddenly it all makes sense. His dark skin, my uncle's curly hair, our larger eyes. I ask my father, do you know what tribe we're from? Yes, he says, Bipodang, people of the flatland. And where do Bipodang live now? Can we go visit? He frowns. They're all gone, assimilated. Do you know which ancestor of ours was an Aborigine? Her name? Oh no, he says. We have no idea. There's no way to find out. We gather our ancestors' bones. We bury them on a mountain top. We burn incense. Pray to Tuti Gong for protection. Whose bones are not here? How might those ceremonies for the dead look different? Whose bones are not here? When does survival require disappearance?
Thank you for watching. Let's give another round of applause. Okay. By the way, just a little announcement. The event is being streamlined on YouTube and Facebook on that computer, so we have a tripling audience seeing some of them put questions there. It's quite interesting. And I just get to see, because the ideas are bubbling in my mind when the things going on, that I have a limited friends on my Facebook account. If we were doing this again, everybody put the phone in front of you, your friends can watch. And we expand the audience space. Anyway, can the film creators come to the front? And well, some of you are here. Come to the front. I do have one of the person on Facebook. She's from Hong Kong Academy for Performing Arts, and she has a question. I don't know probably Melissa can talk about this. She asked the question, what is the difference? How do you differentiate the concert dance and digital dance? I mean, do you want to come here so that it's louder that the people on Facebook can hear? Because I don't want to answer that question. The first year we accept submissions, they were very, very different.
So part of what we were trying to do for this project is just focusing on dance films, so films that show a creative relationship between the camera and the performer. So instead of just like documentation of a stage piece with typically one or two camera angles that's at eye level, Instead, exploring how the performers and the cameras can interact and have a duet, so to say.
Ariana, do you have anything to add on?
No, that was.
Okay, okay. Any questions for the genius sitting in the front? They use camera to speak for themselves. Seniors in dance, and some people on Facebook quite amazed by those people because I put up every dancer's age 65 and beyond. Is that right?
No, 55 to 68.
55 to 60. I don't
Well, they
put a
were
little
there.
correction there, and I put a quotation under retirement, but they're not stopping dancing. So anyway, any questions? Yes.
I just want to ask what device did you use to record?
So what kind of technology is that involved? Anyone?
Two cameras.
Two
Did
cameras.
anyone use this two cameras?
How many?
Could you say your name?
Yeah, and the films that you created. That were two.
Okay, Sonia Yochais, I think it's Antoinette, inappropriate.
My name is Gabriel Williams, and my film is called Action.
Justin Murphy and William Stone. Martha and I are Figment.
So did all of you use this one or two camera? You use one, two. Which one was it? The one with the older dancers. Oh, yeah. And you had to do editing. Did everything. And all
Yeah.
the rest of you?
Same. I had one camera. I did steady shots. I used live cam.
Live
I did
cam.
multiple angles. Yeah, live cam for some of the things.
The rest.
Yeah, we used two camera, one and the other on tripod, one white shell, one picture.
Was it the VS and all
Yeah.
of you used it? You used live.
I used the
You have an incoming call from Chahayal Home.
But the live cam is not a camera. It's just a stabilization device. It's three-axis gimbal, but it's not motorized. It takes manual skill, but it's basically like a entry steady cam.
All of you had to sit down and edit, or did you do online editing? Did you edit it afterwards? After, yes.
Yeah. Can I have a general question? Like, what editorial program did you use? Editing program?
Yeah.
So
We
you
use Final Cut.
Final Cut? How about Final Cut?
iMovie, basic.
iMovie. So it's an all Apple-based editing program.
You did it iMovie. And the one with animation?
I don't think the person is here today. Elia, you have a question? I'm sorry, hands up.
Oh, no.
Any other question? Yes.
I have a question. In sort of live performances, I'm always very interested in how the choreographer considers the audience in terms of whether the performers know or acknowledge that the audience is there, or whether the audience is outside of the world.
Okay, audience, I'm bringing you to the person who's speaking.
More of a voyeur in that world. So in the case of your films, I wonder what your thoughts are around the viewer in this case, who obviously is there at that moment in time, but we're here now, and whether, the role of whether we are there in the performance world or not. Maybe.
I'd be happy to talk. So one of the main things I wanted to do with my film, I think, and one of the main devices I used to do this was I wanted to bring the audience into the dance as much as possible. My film Contaction means a touch, and I wanted to bring the audience into the sensation of being a dancer, into the world of touch as much as possible. And I tried to do that with camera movement. I was always imagining how could I make this more intimate? How could I bring the viewer more into the work that I'm doing, mostly using camera movement to give kind of a closer sense of connection to the dance. So yeah, the audience was definitely a part of my filming and creative process. I was trying to keep that in mind as much as possible.
We just want to bring in the first year we got the submissions. Some of the concert dancers or performers, they just put a camera on top and videotape the whole performance and they submit it to us. But this year piece is really interaction between the body and the camera. The message is out very specifically. That's probably you guys chose this. It speaks loud. Yes.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed all of them. I love seeing the way that you allow the dancers' bodies to speak. So the camera work was quite different to say gag, which I thought your editing was exceptional, and that you were able to use the camera as a choreographic tool.
Definitely.
So a question I guess for all the panel is, I think that's really the hardest thing with dance films, to use the camera as though that is a choreographic device, rather than just filming people dancing and moving around. So for those of us who are all experimenting or exploring, the question is, for all of you, what advice or tips or ideas would you recommend for people who want to use the camera as a choreographic device, not just to film movement, but to what have you stumbled across through your practice and through experimenting with the camera? What suggestions, top 3 suggestions for using the camera?
Top 3.
So we have 3 groups, so maybe each group give 1 suggestion to answer your question.
Unless you've got more ideas, it's just, I think it's a really difficult thing to do well.
Yeah, I'll just say this is part of my PhD project. So my practice is haptic. Whatever happens, happens. I don't have any specific way, but these 8 dances, they're originally 8 solos. So if you look at those, that's really interesting. And then at the last minute, I bunged them together. Basically, I have no film experience whatsoever. I just, as I said, worked with 2 cameras and just prayed, basically. Because really, the whole project is about the gaze. It's about you guys looking at older bodies. You know, it's like Jacques Rancière. It's all about that. It's all about looking, the spectator looking, and backwards, you know, the other way around as well. So basically, it's all about them. And I just happened to be there with a camera, and somehow it worked. I really don't know. But I look at it as choreographing with film, basically, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I had no technical assistance whatsoever. So what you see is what you get. So apologies to the professionals. Sorry.
I guess there's a few things I would say. First, watching a ton of dance film and watching regular movies even. I mean, camera movement is more of a thing now than it used to be. Dance film back in the day, I mean, Fred Astaire said, either the camera dances or I dance. He didn't want any kind of camera movement. He wanted full body, show the choreography, show me, let me be the star. Now the camera moves more, and that brings another element in, and I love that. I think that can be a really useful thing as a filmmaker. So watching a lot of stuff, and then the other thing is playing. Just play. Get a camera, move it around, see what happens. Play with angles, play with movement, play with things that are unconventional, and then look at that. Look at what it does, and see how it makes you feel. And I mean, I think that's often, like with dancing, one of the best ways to learn is by doing. So I would just suggest playing.
Well said, ladies.
I think for me, using the camera to create different possibilities that aren't possible in concert dance. So I know we've worked with projection and live performance before, but as an audience member, you're able to see the light projecting. And so I think what was really neat with our project Figments is that we were able to hide the light source so people weren't able to see track the light and how it was projected. So I guess exploring different possibilities with the camera that aren't possible in live performance.
I just thought that I don't know. I just had this up because I hadn't thought about it before. It's kind of those basic compositional elements that that kind of space and energy. And then you start looking at space within the frame. It's really interesting because you can, I'm sorry I forget your name, but the last film
Contraction, Gabriel.
contraction, that sort of changing of space, the wide shot sort of reducing or pulling space away, and just this variation sort of are the stuff of what dance is and time, of course. Yeah, but it's a new world.
It's quite interesting that Shannon Mockley, her piece was chosen for last year's digital dance concert in Puebla, Mexico. And we actually, there's similarities where Gabriel's dance piece is on stage, but yours is outdoor. But the way you use cameras, they interact with the space and environment, and the dancers are very, very, like they speak to each other, the similarities. I got a request, can I switch move the camera because the audience wants to see the people who are talking. I mean, audience online. And it's interesting, I saw 3 people actually share their live stream with their own friends. So it's actually expanding. Is that any objections there? Okay, so any other questions? Oh, yes, Catherine?
I'm interested myself in the process of making one of your films. So this was a question for the entire panel. When you conceptualize what you want to do you make a script? What is your process of making these films?
We make a storyboard.
You do.
So our film we use projections and camera. So because we're using like crazy projection, we decided to not moving camera with us. Just put on tripod and play with distance, close up and wide. So we made like first wide shot, second same movement but close up shots. So more about like camera manipulating, storyboard. But a lot of things happen during editing for us because we didn't move the angle a lot. So we tried to make storyboard second one about like editing, how we edit, like using only jump cut to make it simple. Yes. But when you check the film you made it just, there's a lot of interesting things that you didn't plan on it. You know what I mean?
I feel like most of our work happened post-production, and so in the editing process, because we were leaving the cameras to dance, so we were just filming everything we were doing. So yeah, post-production is not my process.
Similar for me, I didn't storyboard, I just choreographed the piece. And then once I had that choreographed, I shot lots of different angles. I had an extreme wide shot, I did lots of close-up stuff, I did low angle stuff, I did high angle, I did bird's eye. And then once I did all those steady shots, then I used the glide cam. I basically, and this actually speaks to another, to a little part that I forgot to say, is that I feel that as a dancer, my eye is different perhaps than a cameraman or camerawoman would be, as far as just having that strict training. So I feel like when I have a camera in my hands or it's on the glide cam, I move with the dancers, I dance with them. And being the choreographer, I know what's coming next. So I could have storyboarded and just had a huge shot list of all the shots and where I wanted the camera to be. But instead of doing that, I knew what was going to happen. So I would just move with the dancers, changing angles in a way that felt natural to me. And then again, the choreography, pretty much, and I think any editor of dance film will say the choreography happens in the edit. So even though I did all linear edits, I didn't use montage. So everything is start to finish. If I did my wide shot and played it, it would be the same choreography at the same time. Even without using like the first film, there was manipulation of time. Mine didn't have that. It was one straight thing, although it was lots of different angles. That's an important aspect also that you can use.
Sorry, I was going to say that I live in Australia. 4 of my dancers were in Sydney and 4 of my dancers were in London. I sent them a dance motif, so a film, and I appropriated Sophie Call's body of work, Take Care of Yourself, and I asked the 8 dancers to interpret my movements, change them, ignore them, do whatever they wanted with them. And then I flew to Sydney and then I flew to London, And each dancer had one chance to film, so they have one performance.
Wow.
So that produced 8 solos, which I then randomly just put together to make the final body of work. So really, I didn't have that much. They just had very small information. And what they did, I had to just take that and go with that. So it became, each little piece became their own.
So in other words, there's different ways of making
Yeah,
your
very
dance
different.
work and speaking volumes, for sure. And the moving camera, that's the key words. That's really interesting. Gentlemen, sorry, I got your name.
Congratulations for my piece that you've shown. I was wondering from a choreographer's or a dancer's perspective, when you go into a live concert, you have different ideas, you have different frame of reference in your mind, because that's one shot, there's an audience there who's looking at your performance in there. Whereas, a movie like this, where you have room for some kind of changes, how does choreographically, or from a dancer's perspective, how do you find it, different and manipulative? So as to
I think one of the what's interesting as a director, as opposed to just as a choreographer for the stage, I think being a director of film is really wonderful for people who are control freaks, who really want to control what the audience sees, because the director has absolute power to control what you see. A choreographer, well, you put it on the stage, and if you have a good lighting designer, you can suggest, you can make very strong suggestions to the audience as to what you'd like them to see. But once you move into the film, I can dictate exactly what I want you to see. And so that's one of the main differences for me between stage and film, is that I get to decide exactly how I want you to experience the work. And that's a really, really powerful tool.
It's really important if we compare drama, because I teach drama as well, the theater arts. The drama is really way ahead of the dance in terms of how they manipulate the camera, what messages are sending out. So it's quite interesting. We've got Shannon, hands-on, and Linda. Shannon, do you want to go first?
I just have a thought and a response. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the ideas behind behind your work, and it really made watching your work and made present for me bodies and how we can tend to neutralize certain bodies.
Of course.
And I just wanted to say that I very much appreciated your film and how it made me aware of that.
Yeah, well, it's very much about corporeal difference, and my work is usually shown in an art gallery, very large scale, so you can see the older dancing body, which we don't see as much as we should, but it is changing. Yeah, so thank you.
Linda?
Mine was just a comment for the concert producers, those that put the program together. I thought it was really amazing, and I don't know if this was what planned, but how you started with the first piece that was sort of no contact, and then ended with that last piece I thought was gorgeous, and then how the journey of all the different ways of seeing the body where it was created. I just wanted to say, I thought if we think of it as a digital dance concert, we tend to think of the individual pieces, but how it flowed as a whole, I thought was really quite wonderful.
Yes.
How do you, first of all, really, it was a beautiful experience, I must say. What are you seeing as the continuation of the afterlife of these things, vis-a-vis this organization, vis-a-vis the people you would like to have as a continuing audience?
Well, I'm still working I've made about, I think it's about 12 films. So I'm working towards my final body of work for my PhD. So, and my film has been shown quite a few places in Europe and Australia. So I don't know, I think it's, I mean, the main message is to look at older people. That's really what I'm interested in. So I think, I mean, I use, you know, Vimeo, those online things all the time. You know, it's very important that dance, I mean, I know in Australia it's very strong, and Europe, you know, dance is massive digitally. Everyone's looking at dance films constantly. So it's an amazing platform for people that can't get to the gallery or can't get to the theatre. They can see it, they can watch it on their phone, they can watch it on their laptop. So film is very, very important. I think we really have to realise how important.
So would these be available online?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
everything's online, yeah.
We actually select the film. Films actually we can feature on the WDAA website, and we can watch there after the conference. And speaking of the volume, I have like quite a number of people watching. They're from Hong Kong, they're from Macau, they're from the States in different time zones. So it's quite interesting that way how your channel is reaching out far beyond the audience base. As we all understand, we had a conversation, we had a presentation 2 days ago about different age in dance, and we have to reach out way more aggressively than other art form because they have done it or they are already in it. Okay, any other burning questions before we wrap it up?
I just want to share, like, we learned dance film in grad school. You know, one of our professors taught how editing process can help also choreograph your piece. So, like, there's editing program in retrograde, like 1 minute film. Then let dancers use that retrograde film to recreate your movement. And also there's like 5 minutes film, and then you jump cut and it like all very differently, like A, C, whatever. So and then that helped also like choreographers to re-choreograph their work. So I think also teaching dance film for us, I think it's also interesting, not just making dance film, but also like how to use the editing program to choreograph your piece.
Thanks for sharing. And Eugene just joined 3 hours ago after her drama thing in Taiwan, which like it takes us right to the Taiwan. Do you want to speak about the?
I'm just gonna cue.
Oh, international. There's an initiative happening in Taiwan, and we're going to talk about that. So, Eugene.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know we're running into the medium time, so we're just going to quickly show this kind of like a trailer for the International Young Choreographers Project, which is through the World Dance Alliance Asia Pacific. And Yejin Choi just arrived from Taiwan this morning, like 5 a.m. To do that. And so it's a 3-week choreography residency. There's 1 choreographer selected to represent WDAA Americas, 3 to represent WDAA Asia Pacific, and 3 to represent Taiwan. And I had the opportunity to do it in 2015, and Yejin just returned from doing it. So we're going to use this opportunity to show this and kind of promote it and get people excited for 2019. It happens every 2 years.